What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Ron back with another video. If you clicked on this video, you know why you're here. On the road to 25k subs by the end of the year. Let's get it. And if you like the music that you hear, click the links. They are in the description. Alright, so Cher Sade, she had a live stream with some Latinas. And for y'all that don't know, yes, the real film sapien is Latina. I believe she is Puerto Rican. Alright, the lady that you see right here, I'm not familiar with her. That is Denise Gonzalez. And for the people that be over here wanna critique and complain about my setup, I can only see half of her face. Alright. Please quit trying to come for me. Alright. Alright, and the lovely Miss Luke Casely, 20. She actually teaches Spanish on her channel as well. She has been helpful in me learning Spanish, as well as Google Translator and Duolingo, and but I would say she's probably been more helpful because she has certain tactics to help you learn and remember words that you didn't think that you probably wouldn't think of, like certain words that end in re in English. You can just change that e to a a, and it's the correct word in Spanish. Like vulture is vultura, culture is cultura, and some other words. But let me quit rambling. We're gonna see what they're talking about. The discussion is are Latinas more naturally submissive than Western women? So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it.
Paisley, in your opinion, are Latina women naturally submissive women?
I think it depends. I think the Latinas here in the United States are following a different culture than if you were living in, for example, I'm from Nicaragua, in Venezuela. I was born in Nicaragua, raised in Venezuela. So I think that the culture is different once you go into our country. Ali's talking about Puerto Rican culture, which is very close to American culture. So I think it differs a little bit. And I don't know if Latin Spain, and I don't know if you have a little more in-depth knowledge about that. That's how I see it.
I don't know. I would like to ask Ali, because I don't know if she was raised here in the States. I was raised in the island.
Okay.
So yes, I see the difference major. Like, I agree with you 100%. The Puerto Rican culture here is very, very much American, rather than the culture back at home, where it's completely different. So I think I agree with you. It all depends on the location, because everyone that's here, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily related to the people per se. It's just, I'd like to call it Americanisms, to a degree. American women overall, because of the culture of the country, follow a different path. The dream for women here it's a little different than the dream for us back at home in Latin America. So of course it's going to look like that from the outside looking in.
All right. So far I agree with everything that they're saying. This is one of the reasons why even dealing with a Latin woman that's from the States wouldn't exactly be your best option if you're trying to go outside of your race. Because I've actually tried to reach out to a few other women that are like first generation of other races, like they were born here. What I have noticed is, just in like the little small sample sizes of conversations that I've had with these women in the comments, They are definitely, and I mean definitely, very Americanized. Although they are watching my channel and they agree with most of the stuff, the fact that there are certain things that they're still kind of combative about lets me know that they have drank the Kool-Aid a little bit, but they're still somewhat they still somewhat follow their traditional roles because because of the way they were raised. So that's they're fortunate for that, but most kids are not all kids are fortunate to have both parents in the home and be raised and have good examples. But yeah, that's one of the big differences, man. Like the Latinas that I've came across, if they're born here, oh yeah, they westernized as French toast. Let's keep it moving.
So what's interesting? So I would just, this is just something that I noticed because I live, in the California, and there's a huge Latino population out here, primarily Mexicans, a lot of Mexicans, Salvadorians in certain spots. And I remember back when I was working at this country club, and it was like an entire family that was working there with me. And there was this one girl in particular. I think she was like 17, 18, really young. And I remember having a conversation with her one day, and she was like, man, like, I need to have a baby. Like, I'm getting old. And I'm like, what? Like, you're like 19. And she was like, so pressed to have a kid. Like, she was literally like, I need to have a baby. But she was from El Salvador. So we talked back and forth, and eventually I figured, I was like, maybe this is a cultural difference, because I'm like, that wasn't what I heard growing up. It was very much like, no, you don't even think about kids, like career, like all of that. But this is a woman who would come over from another nation, and she's so pressed to have a kid at like 19. And at that point, I was thinking, like, I think this has to be a cultural difference, because where is this pressure coming from? I thought it was so interesting. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something, like, if you could speak to some of the core differences or key differences that you notice coming from the islands versus being now in the USA.
All right, I want to stop this here because this is something that I've brought up several times. And see, they got to understand, in these other countries, women pay attention to their biology more so in the States. Because in the States, y'all are taught to put off having kids till your later years. But the problem with that is that the closer you put off putting kids to 30, the more likely you're gonna struggle getting pregnant, or you're gonna have pregnancy issues. See, women of these other cultures, they know and understand that the best time for them to have children is when they're young. That's why in some of these other countries, these women are ready to be wives the moment they turn 18. They're ready to start a family the moment they turn 18, 19, 20, 21. Plus, they know that's the peak of their beauty. So they know that's their best time to get the best match that they can get. In the States, y'all are taught to fool around like the men that are fooling around with all the women. So that way y'all can feel equal. That's the problem. Women in this country are too busy trying to feel equal to the top 10, 20% of men. But what women fail to realize is that you're always going to have access to those men sexually, but can you keep one of those men? And are you content with potentially sharing that man sexually? Most women won't. But that's what most women want. And that's why damn near, or if not half of y'all are projected to be single by 2030. Because it's trajecting to get worse. Let's keep it moving.
Well, in the Caribbean, at least, there's not, like, I would say, if we let Luke Hasley explain, like, even in her country, both of her countries, you will see even a difference among, like, the Caribbean Latinos and South America or Central American Latinos. There's a lot of differences there, just like there's a difference between the diaspora of Latinos and Latinos from Latin America, because
Mhm.
I think femininity is always going to be tied to industrialization of a country. The more you need a man for your day to day life, the more feminine you're going to tend to be, depending on how the country is developed. So, the less developed the country is, or the less industrialized that country is, of course, the women are going to deem the man quote unquote obsolete. So, with that,
That's facts. It's one of the reasons, and it's funny. Andrew Tate, of all people, literally said the same thing, and it's one of the reasons why he likes Romania so much. He said the countries that are further away from being developed, those countries tend to be more traditional because, unlike over here in the States, where we've made it so comfortable over here that women can literally go on TikTok and YouTube and say they don't need men. That's where we at. But then these are the same women that want to get mad at men getting their passports. You say you don't. I'm like, you say you don't need or want us, but then when we go when we're wanted, now I'm like, now you feel the need to hate. All right, let's keep it moving.
that being said, in Puerto Rico, there was a time where the island was booming to a degree. That was in the 90s and the 80s, because of the industrialization. So we started seeing a shift, not as major as the US, but we started seeing a shift towards feminism to a degree. Still conserving the aspect of staying in your marriage. I think one thing that people, I want to clarify when people say that we're more submissive or feminine and whatnot. One thing that I would say is that Latino marriage retention is what's better. We
Mm.
tend to not leave. It doesn't matter how poor quality or good quality your marriage is, we are taught not to divorce.
These are facts. When I looked up the divorce rate for Colombia, it was nine. I think it was like 9%. I don't know. I could be wrong. It was real. It was lower than the U.S. I know that much. And the divorce rate in Thailand was like 4%. I don't know. It was something. It was some like crazy low numbers, man. Like I think that's another reason why South American countries and Southeast Asian countries are so popular, is because the divorce rates are very low between those areas. Let's keep it moving.
It
Okay.
doesn't matter, even in situations where, and I don't agree with that, of course, but
Mhm.
even
Of course she doesn't. That right there, yeah, yeah. If she been living in Puerto Rico, yeah. That sounds pretty westernized to me. Let's keep it moving.
in situations that we all have friends and families that have been in marriages that are not necessarily even safe, and they tend to stay. So,
Okay.
in my opinion, that varies even within Latin countries of the Caribbean. I would say in Cuba, there's even more feminist femininity in that island specifically because of the regime that they've been living under.
Yeah,
Then
yeah, yeah.
after that, it's Puerto Rico. Even though we're still having children out of wedlock at a 38%, we still have 62% of the women married. But then there's the Dominican Republic, which I've heard a lot of many people saying that they will go find a wife over there. There is a chaos in marriage happening right now in the DR.
Mm.
As DR it's moving forward and modernizing itself, the less women are marrying in the Dominican Republic today.
And that might explain why guys keep telling me you're not gonna find a wife in the DR. And maybe that explains why guys are starting to complain about the DR. So, for the guys that have been going to the DR, I'm like, has it become so modernized that women are starting to act like the women in the States? Y'all let me know. Yeah, cause I definitely want to know what y'all think about this, man. Anybody that's been to these Latin countries, as y'all know, I'm trying. My first trip is gonna be to Colombia, Cartagena, particularly. Then I'm gonna slide down to Barranquilla for the festival. Um, Shout out to everybody on the panel. I am very familiar with Real Film Sapien. I was I was actually hip to Real Film Sapien. I was hip to Real Film Sapien before she was even monetized. So to see her growth and where she is now, man, is pretty dope. Like I said, Luke Hazley, she's basically my Spanish teacher. Now, I'm hip to chairs through River TV, Danica Dope Discussions, Chantel Simone, all the other ladies in this space. All right. But once again, please let me know what y'all think about this, and if you've been in any Latin countries, let me know. Y'all see the difference? Do y'all see anything related to what they said in this video in terms of places like Puerto Rico, Cuba, DR, things of that nature? All right. If you're new to the platform, please subscribe. OGs, I appreciate the love and support. Make sure y'all hitting that bell notification. That way y'all know what I'm uploading. And hit the like button because it helps with the algorithm. It helps me reach a broader audience. Until the next video, y'all. Deuces.